Let's go on to the next game. Alabama destroying Missouri. Number 15 Alabama winning 34-0, blanking Missouri in this one over number 21 Missouri. And effectively, we mentioned before, eliminator. Missouri is now eliminated from college football playoff contention. We could put a fork in them right now. Let's go over the highest grade players, though, starting off with the Alabama Crimson Tide. Their highest grade player, two highest grade players actually, defensively at least, were the two safeties in Bray Hubbard and Malachi Moore. Hubbard had an 85.9 grade, Malachi Moore the 77.7, Jeremy Bernard, the wide receiver, 76.2, Justice Haynes, 75.6 grade, the running back, Kendrick Law, the other receiver, 73.4, and Jalen Milroe bouncing back with a 79.7 grade, the highest graded offensive player for the Crimson Tide. Let's go over to Missouri with their highest graded players. Jamal Roberts, the running back, filling in for Nate Noel with a 74.7 grade. Nicholas Deloach Jr., the corner, is 73.1. Sterling Webb, the D tackle, 69.9. Linebacker Corey Flagg, 69.5. Cameron Johnson, the offensive guard, with a 68.2 grade. And Drew Pine filling in for Brady Cook, who had to leave the game with a 40.8 mark. Dalton, for you, what was the stat that told the story in this dominant victory for Alabama?
It's the same thing that it's been all season. Look, for me, Missouri in this game, the two quarterbacks combined. Brady Cook tried to gut it out, then with the ankle injury, then suffered a hand injury when it hit on somebody's helmet. I mean, it's just been a disaster year for Brady Cook in this passing game, and the two quarterbacks, Cook and Pine, combined for a 34.4 passing grade. And it's not like Alabama's pass rush dominated the offensive line. This offensive line's been the best part of Missouri's team this year. They had a 45.6 clean pocket passing grade. Last year, Missouri, and obviously on the back of Cook, was 18th in the country in passing grade. This year, they're 97th. It's just that all year, even in their wins, they have not executed offensively at a level they should, and it starts with their quarterback play. They've missed throws, even in games where they've dominated, a team like Murray State or Buffalo, or, even games where you thought they should have won by more, say against a Boston College or a Vandy, even though we've seen how tough an opponent Vanderbilt's become. This offense just isn't the same. The quarterback is not playing the same as last year. Even the play calling, when we loved the way Kirby Moore called the offense last year, but something about it looks handcuffed. It's just not there. The run game, you need to be, if you're going to beat Alabama, you need to be two-dimensional, right? And the run game's been working reasonably well for them all year, but it's not necessarily the elite run game that we see out of some other teams, right? Missouri's drop-off in quarterback play, I think, is really one of the biggest surprises in all of college football. And it's at this point, it has sunk their season. There's nothing else to say about it. We've seen it in two huge games that could have kept them in playoff contention. They've just looked horrible on offense, and it starts with their quarterback. So I don't know, especially with Cook's injuries, where the rest of this season goes for their offense, but this is pretty much just where they're at this point.
Yeah, and it's crazy because, like I said, last year Brady Cook was really good, but the year before he did struggle as well. So you're just wondering if there's a one-year wonder for Brady Cook, honestly, and it's starting to really, really look like that. And my side that tells story goes right into it as well. I mean, they average 3 yards per pass. 3 yards per pass. I mean, you never really see something that low. You mentioned the passing grade as a team. It's their worst passing grade since 2016 against Florida. So it's been 8 years since Missouri's had a passing grade as low as the 34.4 mark that they've had yesterday. 72 passing yards in total on 24 attempts. They averaged negative .992 EPA per pass. With Brady Cook injured, then you got Drew Pine coming in. This Missouri offense never stood a chance. Never stood a chance in this game, honestly, especially with Nate Noel injured as well, the star running back. I mean, you just had nothing offensively. And like you said, the offensive line did their job. They only allowed 4 pressures all game to Alabama. So they had relatively clean pockets. But what was that clean pocket passing at 45?
45.6.
Dude, that is horrible.
Yeah, I mean, that's just
horrible.
They just haven't got it done all year, and we would have looked at them a lot different. I mean, when you talk about they had to really scratch and claw their way back against Boston College, who's every bit of a decent team, right? The overtime or double overtime win over Vanderbilt that they easily could have lost if Vandy had hit their kicks. This is just where they've been at offensively all season. It's really, I would like to say at this point it's surprising, but it's really not. The way they came out offensively in this game is not surprising. This is how even in their wins, this is how they've played all year. They just don't execute. And if you go into Tuscaloosa and you don't execute, this is what. Credit to Alabama, obviously, for playing the game they should have. It took them a while to really get it going and start dominating, especially once Drew Pine came in there. But This is about Missouri's offense and how it has really just kind of sunk their playoff hopes.
It really has, honestly. And yeah, you mentioned the 45 clean pocket passing grade. I mean, usually like the okay marks like in the 70s. Like,
yeah.
That's like okay. Like if clean pocket, if you're in the 70s, okay, you're fine.
They have just missed throws all
45, man, that's horrible. That's like what pressure grade usually you see, honestly. So yeah, that's pretty bad. And like I said, it only seems fitting that Missouri's playoff hopes die because of what's plagued them all year. It's just this offense not being able to do anything. And this time, this took it to extreme. This is the extreme mark of it, and it is fitting that their playoff hopes are dead now because of this, honestly. But Dalton, get into a little bit of the Alabama defense. What impressed you most about them just shutting out Missouri?
Yeah, I'll give them credit on the coverage side of things. And their two safeties in this game, Malachi Moore and Bray Hubbard, both had terrific games. You saw them as their two highest graded players on the screen there. Bray Hubbard with an 85.9 grade, allowed 3 catches for 17 yards. He had an interception against Drew Pine, an 89.6 coverage grade. Malachi Moore, 1 catch for 0 yards, a pass breakup, 81.8 coverage grade. These safeties, look, we've talked before about how Alabama's really young at corner, but these safeties have good experience, especially Malachi Moore was a part of that just outstanding secondary last year. He's really been the leader of it this year, and these two safeties, just a terrific game from them alongside, obviously, Missouri struggles in the passing game, but their secondary responded with a good day.
Absolutely. My most impressive part on the other side of the ball was Alabama's rushing attack. They had an 83.5 rushing grade as a team, 282 rushing yards, 4 rushing touchdowns, 193 yards after contact. They broke 11 tackles on 35 carries. And Dalton, the reason why I'm not highlighting one running back or Jalen Moreau here, it was a group effort, man. They all really did well. Justice Haynes, 8 carries for 79 yards and a touchdown. Richard Young, 3 carries for 63 yards. He averaged 21 yards per carry, Richard Young did in that game. Jalen Moreau, 9 carries for 61 yards and a touchdown. Jam Miller, 11 carries for 48 yards and 2 touchdowns. So all of them combined for a really, really good rushing effort. And they didn't need Jalen Moreau to win the game with his arm. That was so critical. They dominated on the ground. And if you can find this sort of balance offensively, Alabama can be very dangerous because with that deep passing game that they have, if you start to make defenses creep up and defend the run and stack the box a little bit more against Alabama, then Milroe can win with his arm deep, winning one-on-one matchups. But if you're solely relying on the deep ball, then they'll drop back in coverage and beat you there. But if you have this kind of running game and this how dominant running game that Alabama had, it reminded me a lot of the old Nick Saban days with this kind of run game. That's when I think Jalen Moreau could be at his most dangerous as a passer. And you saw in this game, I mean, he played pretty well, and Alabama's rushing attack dominated Missouri.
We will find out if it sticks 2 weeks from now.
We will.
That's the season for both of those teams. For Alabama and LSU, that's going to be it. One of those teams is going to get knocked out that day, I think.
They will. Yeah, I agree because they both have a couple losses. So yeah, it will be a huge game. The loser is eliminated from playoff contention. So that will be a huge one in a couple weeks. Though we don't have it's not next week. It's Alabama's got to bye. I believe LSU's got to bye as well. So we'll get to that in a little bit.